Hey, how's it going? It's me again, and it is Thursday, January 20th, 2022, and I am getting to the end of my series on the immune system, which I will re record in much more. Much more specific and much greater detail and with much more uh, clear explanations, which with many more clear explanations of what I was initially trying to talk about because I was learning about and deep diving into for the purposes of my eternal life study. So let's get back to it. Right now, so now that I'm in retrospect going backwards in my learning, I think I would probably tackle the lymph system somewhere earlier in my series, but it's okay because, yeah, because the lymphatic system we're looking high level to deeper level, and the lymphatic system is definitely, essentially at a higher level in terms of how it deals with the infections. So, I mean, everybody learns about the lymphatic system in grammar school. And in high school, etc. I even remember learning about the lymphatic system in school, which at that point I truly wasn't that interested in it, but at that time I didn't think about needing to figure out a way to get involved in the life extension uh, movement, right? The life extension, health extension movement. So it's important for me to understand all this stuff, and maybe through explaining this, I will help solidify my understanding so I can be more involved later. But yeah, so let's talk about the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is essentially a complementary vascular system to your blood system, your system of veins, arteries, capillaries, and your heart, and all the parts of your circulatory system. And lymph nodes, lymph vessels, the spleen, tonsils, even your appendix, and the different lymphatic ducts, and even certain veins that connect to these lymph nodes, like the subclavian vein uh, and the thymus. All of these are part of the lymphatic system, even the red bone marrow, because the red bone marrow is where immune cells originate, and immune cells, which primarily reside the T cells and the B cells, which primarily reside in the lymph nodes, are created in the red bone marrow. Their progenitor cells, their stem cells, are within the red bone marrow, in which they differentiate into other white blood cells. So the lymphatic system really, it's meant to essentially extract. It's meant to extract. Well, there's a few uses for it, but one of its primary uses, as we discussing, is it's meant to eliminate infection from surrounding tissue, and it's meant to clean your blood essentially and drain your blood and your return back to your blood after it's been drained of all infectious agents and pathogenic agents. And your lymphatic system is distributed through your body, and fluid flows through your lymphatic system through lymphatic veins. So these lymphatic veins, if I got a closer up shot of lymphatic veins, let's see if I can do that. You'd see that lymphatic veins are not like your blood veins, right? Lymphatic veins actually have a different kind of structure. They are valve based. They have a valve based structure, which fluid essentially flows in one direction through a pressure gradient, right? And so fluid flows through the lymphatic system and back into your blood system, and it's, as you can see, there's an intertwining between your blood vessels and your lymphatic vessels, and essentially osmotic pressure causes hydrostatic pressure and osmotic pressure essentially cause the lymph blood vessel dance to occur in terms of the filtering process. If you go to a closer cross section of the lymphatic vessel, you see that these have like a door kind of, which allows only fluid flowing in one direction, right? So you can see this upward flowing of fluid through the lymphatic system, and this is just one section of the lymphatic system that's intertwined with this capillary bed. So you have several capillary beds throughout your body, and wherever there is a capillary bed, there's essentially an entwinement of lymphatic valves and vessels, and lymphatic vessels which contain lymphatic valves, which the lymphatic vessels are porous also, so they can take fluid in and they can force them through the lymphatic valves, and essentially by consequence through the lymph nodes, which are distributed along the lymphatic system from bottom to top and back to the bottom. So essentially the draining occurs, the draining of the fluids occur in these capillary beds. So going back to the immune system, the lymph nodes themselves are the primary actor in the immune system, right? So what happens is lymph is swept into the lymphatic nodes, right? That's where the magic happens, so to speak. And the lymphatic nodes have their own structures, which are broken down in this way, constructed of lymphatic tissue cells. And these structures, which are divided by these trabeculae kind of regions, looks like if you zoom into the organelle level, it looks a little like a mitochondrion, right? Which have these cristae in there that are dividing them. These have, in this case, in a much, much, much larger scale, these trabeculae divide this lymphatic node. And then in your lymphatic vessels carry blood to the lymphatic node. Also, your veins and arteries are connected to your lymph nodes, so they can provide them with oxygen and other nutrients so that they can survive, because they're cellular as well. And the T cells and the B cells live in this cortex region, they live in these lymphatic nodules, which are surrounded by these cortex regions, and the cortex regions are where macrophages travel throughout the lymph node and patrol for virus particles and other things that get trapped in the lymph node, so they can engulf them and destroy them. So, and through the standard process. Essentially, yes, through the lymph fluid, the bacteria and other things get swept into here. Then the whole song and dance between T cells and B cells and macrophages occur, where the adaptive immune system comes into play and starts to become specialized to a specific pathogen. And I was wondering essentially how macrophages migrate to the lymph nodes at one point, but their migration is it occurs by osmotic pressure. Some actually chemotactically migrate, from my understanding, but I don't know currently the division of those. But the important thing is that these lymph nodes are all throughout your body. A human body has about 600 of them, of all varying sizes, from 1 millimeter to 25 millimeters, which is quite a large size range actually. I don't know the distribution of lymph nodes in those size ranges, but I think there's larger ones, and then there's smaller ones, and then people have smaller ones and larger ones peppered throughout their body, I guess strategically, as evolution has dictated. So so that's basically how, and then the filtering occurs, and then the afferent blood, the afferent lymphatic vessels then essentially continue the process of filtering the blood plasma and returning that fluid back to the blood. So that's basically it. The lymphatic system is actually quite involved. You have also the spleen and the thymus, which we talked about, which I referred to again in this video. The thymus is where the white blood cells essentially get specialized. The T cells get specialized or destroyed, and if they do get specialized, they get turned into killer T cells, which are CD8 positive cells, or CD4 positive helper cells, or T suppressor cells, so they can suppress the immune system, etc. So that's where the thymus occurs. The tonsils are also part of the lymph system, right? You have lymphatic nodes, you have tonsils, which have lymphatic tissue in there, which is not the same as the lymph node, but that lymphatic tissue has macrophages embedded in it, and that is responsible for, again, trapping infections before it's part of your mucosal immune system, which is responsible for trapping infectious agents before they get into your body even get to the point where they have to be attacked by your lymphatic system. So that's basically it in a nutshell. This is already a 10-minute video. I could get deeper into pieces of the lymph system, or the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic tissue, but for now I think this is fine. Just notice the distribution of lymph nodes in all various parts of your body, and your armpits, etc. And I think even your groin region, and just pretty much everywhere throughout your body there's lymph nodes, and I think these are strategically placed by evolution. You also have pyrus patches, etc., which are within your intestine, which are also part of your lymphatic system, which is something I forgot to mention. And I guess your appendix has some indication there. Alright, so that's it for today. I'll check you out later.